Kalispera σας. A little get to know you, if we can. Demetra Giannakopoulos, and that's why I'm here, folks, because I can actually say that properly, is a writer and director of film and theatre and a radio host and podcaster with Joy. We've got some joysters in the house. As a storyteller, Demetra likes to explore cultural and social issues and intertwine serious themes with a sense of humour. Like many attending the Greek Film Festival, she was born in Melbourne to Greek migrants. I'm sure she made her family exceptionally proud when she graduated from Monash University with a Bachelor of Laws and a Bachelor of Science. Demetra then worked as a lawyer for 16 years and today continues to work as a mediator. We all have to pay the bills somehow, don't we? Now, for those who were paying close attention during the film, you might remember a conversation between the characters of Penny and Ali as I think they're cruising down Brunswick Street. Am I right?
Well, I think it was Brunswick Street, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they're talking about Margaret Court and how they should take up tennis because so many players are lesbians. Well, our Demetra is not only a fan of tennis, but she also competes at international masters tennis tournaments.
That's true. Yeah.
Thank you, LinkedIn.
And for
really.
Hawthorn Tennis Club, because there are a few Hawthorn Tennis Club members here.
So, are they really all lesbians? Like,
I wish, mate.
But we got a good. So, should I book tickets to the Aussie Open?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Now, Love Rewind is Demetra's first feature film. It had its world premiere in 2023 at the Palm Springs LGBTQ Plus Film Festival, where it won. Yes, it won the Festival Favourite Award. Congratulations. Now, tonight is no ordinary screening because tonight is Love Rewind's Australian premiere. It's its first ever screening, which is a really, really, really big deal. And I think that deserves another round of applause, please. Now we kick off the fun.
Did you introduce yourself?
Oh, hi, I'm Gina. They don't want to know about me.
Yes, they do. No. And Gina's a wonderful co-host on Outtakes.
Outtakes. Yes.
And is a screenwriter in your own right.
Yeah, we usually don't do this sort of stuff. We hide behind the page and the screen, but here we are today. Now, Demetra, we know as writers when we take a story from script to screen and deliver it to an audience, especially an independent feature, it's a huge undertaking. It's a huge achievement. But I believe this is the first time you've actually watched this film with an audience.
This is true.
Yeah? How did it feel? How did you go?
It's wonderful. It's so wonderful to share this screening with all of you. It really is a coming home. There's so many components to tonight that I couldn't have planned it if I tried. Number one, in a Melbourne audience, has its Australian premiere. It's part of the Greek Film Festival. If you had told me that was going to happen, I would never have believed that. So thank you to the Greek Film Festival for accepting the film and have been fantastic so far. And also to be in one of my favourite cinemas in Melbourne. I always love coming here, Palace Cinemas. So, wow, so many wonderful evenings and to share it with all with you. So thank you so much for coming tonight.
Now, as creatives, we are our harshest critics. So watching this, it's fresh in your mind. I know you're probably like, oh, I could have shot that, should have edited. But I want you to do the opposite now. I want you to tell me what was your favourite scene and moment in the film and why.
Oh, it's so hard because it's really interesting because, I have watched the film quite a few times and each time... You edited it. Like you live with the film for a very long time and each time I see it, something else comes up and then, of course, with the passage of time, of course, we're very different. The film was shot in 2018, if you can believe that. And to watch it now, so much has happened since then, obviously. But you experience the film and some of the things that come up in it in a totally different way. You asked me about my favourite scene. I keep coming back to the no glasses in the dishwasher scene. It always makes me laugh.
Is Mama Sophia here?
Yes, she is. Lorraine Fab, where are you, Lorraine?
There she is. Well done.
Yay. And it always makes me laugh, and for different reasons each time. I mean,
you can put the stemless ones in there.
Can you? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I'm still of the no glasses in the dishwasher. But then there are so many layers in that, like to watch the performance playing out again, so many years after we filmed it, and then to, see these wonderful performances and that tension amongst Lorraine, Maria Pappas, who plays Ali, and Ruth Catarellis, who plays Pen, to see the depth of what's going on in that scene. I go, wow, that's wow. Making a film, a lot of it is great casting, and I just got blessed with a fantastic cast.
This is a quiet film, but going back to that scene, we're Greek. I know you have this kind of question that led you to this film, which was, how can people be friends? But we're Greek. So that makes us extraordinarily jealous people. The fact that one plate was smashed, only one plate was smashed in that scene. You really held back. Was that hard?
I know, right? This is a really interesting topic that you raise about how do we respond in terms of something as quite devastating as this couple falling apart and coming to that realization. And as Greeks, there's usually a lot more plates that are broken and probably a few doors and
Kapsmeola, we just burn everything.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm really interested to, ultimately hear from you about, well, how would you react in that situation? Because this is the great joy of now showing the film to a public, in that getting what the response is, I love an argument. Well, I do love an argument. I personally love an argument. So, if you want to argue with me after at the bar over a drink, I'm happy to take that on, yeah.
That could be because she was a lawyer for 16 years. And on that topic, as a Greek Australian, especially as a Greek Australian, which was harder, coming out as a lesbian or coming out as a filmmaker after holding such a good, respectable career? Demetra.
Well, the order was I came out first. So once you've done that, you can do anything. I could take over the government, and I think that would pale in comparison to coming out as a lesbian to my parents and my family.
But I'm interested in the catalyst. It's what was the career shift? Because it's only probably in the last decade I've noticed that you've done quite a bit of work in shorts and in theatre work, writing and directing. Was the storyteller bug always there? What was the change that made you go, okay, I'm going to put down the Jabbo and the readings, and I'm going to pick up the screenplay?
Yeah, look, it wasn't a burning desire from childhood or anything like that. It was probably early in my legal career that I actually got really interested in making films and being involved in film. And in fact, my first job as a law firm was a firm that had an entertainment law component. So I actually thought that was going to be the trajectory into film. And clearly that didn't happen because I became a building lawyer. I don't know how that happened. But I started off doing a lot of screenwriting and really learning how to do that, and it's a tough gig, writing screenplays and getting them up. So I developed skills in directing and started to make short films. And once you start making films, you really get bitten by the bug. I'm sure it's like a drug. Is there rehab for making films? I'm not sure. And then that just, making films and, gaining confidence in that. I worked part-time for a while in both.
We all have to.
Yeah, in order to feed the habit.
Yes.
And, so, and here we are, having made the first feature film, and, can't say the bug is even stronger. So, so it's just, and doing this is just amazing to have you all here and, watching the film, so.
We're going to take a few steps back because I always love hearing the origins and the inspiration of a story. So I read somewhere that the idea came to you riding a bus on a road outside of Nice in France.
Yeah.
How do we get to this?
Yeah,
7 years later.
I know, right? This is what happens when you go on holiday. You actually, I'll step back a little bit before. So my co-producers, Ruth Catarelos and Vicky Jones, we had got together in early 2017 and say, hey, let's make a film together. I had in mind to make a short film. Yeah, why not? Why the hell not? And then I went on holidays and I was on a bus traveling in Nice, just outside of Nice. There's a beautiful road that is along the water, and it's just magnificent. The Côte d'Azur is absolutely gorgeous. And, I don't know, the idea just came to me. I suppose it was simmering in the news that Australia was about to head towards the same-sex postal vote, and there had been a few years leading up to that about, well, we're going to have the same-sex postal vote, is there going to be a referendum and all that stuff. And anyway, it was finally decided that there would be a same-sex marriage postal vote. And so, I got to thinking, and a few thoughts were flying in my head. One was, well, many of us, myself included, have been in long-term relationships despite the fact of we couldn't technically get married, and yet we still had very committed relationships. And I've been to many straight weddings, and all the vows that they give were all the kind of understandings that I had with my partner, and made me think, well, do we need the Marriage Act? And of course we do from an equality point of view, but it was like, well, we can still have a committed relationship. We don't have to be technically married. Obviously there are legal implications for that, and I'm so glad that we can now get married. But I also came across this small little story, and it was referenced in one of the scenes, in the driving scene. And I read about a couple who had gotten married overseas, and if you'll remember, even if you got married overseas, it wasn't recognised here because the Act was changed to actually say, well, even if you get married overseas, we're not going to recognise it here, which was, anybody else getting married overseas, it gets recognised here. And but this couple had separated, and they couldn't go through the formal process without travelling overseas, and that was a massive expense. And so they were stuck. They were absolutely stuck, and I thought that would be absolutely horrendous. And then, of course, on top of that, there was all the talk about, love is love. So the campaign started to build up about love is love. And, all those factors were sort of swirling around. And then the story of Love Rewind, which was originally titled True Love, was born because another question that came up as a heart of it, and it was something that someone I greatly admire had said to me about how they're still friends with their exes, and even within the queer community, because we're not a very large community, so you kind of do date friends and exes of exes and stuff like that. But we managed, to some extent, we managed to remain friends, and I think that's a really interesting thing to explore. Well, why? How do you remain friends with your exes, and how can you deny having had such an amazing relationship together, and then sort of throw that away because the relationship has ended? Well, that was a long answer, wasn't it?
But I totally get it. I totally get it from that point of view because, not that marriage equality has fixed everything, but so many people kind of say, especially those that work against us. So not Sophia exactly, but the Sophias in our lives are always the ones who tolerate us and don't accept us. And when things go wrong, it's the I told you so's. There's a lot of that, and especially in the Greek community. I don't think we're there yet when it comes to acceptance. So...
Yeah, well, it's interesting you say that, and I agree. I think there's a lot of work to be done, but here is a pretty queer film in the Greek Film Festival. So,
very cool.
Thank you, Greek Film Festival, for being supportive.
So you go to France, and instead of a souvenir, you came back with a script. Fabulous. And what did you go back to the team? Because from the credits, it's mostly a female-led production. So how did that all kind of come to fruition?
Sure. Yeah, well, I got back and...
Yes, that is a woo. Let's give that a
well,
woo.
yeah, well, it is. Yeah, well, it was, pretty much like 97% female crew and cast. So I came back to Ruth and Vicky and said, hey, I've got an idea for a film, but I think it's a feature film length or a long film. And because I didn't know any better, I was like, yeah, let's do it. And so I wrote the script, and it was really interesting because the script was written very quickly because the story was pretty strong and pretty there. And then we, the following year, we cast it. We held some auditions, and we found a wonderful cast with Janelle De Silva, who plays Navi. I'm going to say the most honest character, actually. I think the most honest character in the film. But yeah, shout out to Janelle, and Maria Pappas, of course. Wonderful performances, Althea, Ali, and Lorraine. So we held auditions. That was pretty quick, and then we shot it like in April, over 20 days effectively, and we acquired the crew. We sort of called in people if you're interested. Some people gravitated to the project. Some who auditioned also had crew skills. I was like, yeah, why not? Come on board. And Alec Gilbert. Alec, I think had we worked together, or you'd came on board with. I'm looking at Alec. I should remember.
You originally wrote Dom as a female.
That's true. Oh my God, I'm glad you remember. Yeah.
Let's get a boy in. Yeah.
I rang you the next day and hounded you.
That's true. I'm glad that everyone remembers what happened. See, I should have kept a journal or something, shouldn't I? And Belle Fuller, who plays Kat, gorgeous Kat in the bar. Where are you, Kat? I can't see you. There you are, up there. But yeah, so it came together really quickly, and getting locations can be really difficult. Like the hospital that you saw was a real hospital that had just been decommissioned. Stephen Glover, who's the artist, he was having an exhibition during our shoot time. Like that, his work is absolutely beautiful, and the themes of his work really resonated with the themes of the film, and that was so random. So
that was pure luck, wasn't it?
Pure luck.
Yeah,
pure luck. And the gallery was Berinjara. Berinjara.
In Marysville.
Was it
Marysville? Hillsville.
No. Oh God! Can anyone shout out? Do they know where Berinjara Gallery is? Up near the Dandenongs. But that was random, and it was beautiful, and he very generously let us come through his and he was speaking. That was the real deal. That was real life. And so things just happened really quickly. So we shot it really quickly. Everything came together really quickly. So this is we finished shooting in June 2018.
Wow.
And then post-production hit us.
And COVID.
Well, and COVID.
Yeah.
Do I get a pass for 2 years?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So post-production was a long period, but I do reflect on that, and it, in a way, it's kind of good having that distance from when the film was shot, because I wonder if it was ready to go in 2019 or even 2020, we wouldn't have been able to come to a cinema and watch it all together. So, sometimes you got to, be thankful for the way the universe works.
And I don't know about you, but I know for myself with marriage equality, it was such a hard time.
Yeah.
It was, and for some of us that worked at Joy, we were doing so much work to kind of put on a positive face for our community. It was almost triggering, even a year later, like what we'd gone through. So I don't think I would have been ready to see a story with that in the backdrop. So I think the space and the time from it was probably, happy accident.
It's interesting. It's funny. I don't know if it's funny, but the commentary, I forget that at the time of the same-sex marriage postal vote, there was this underlying question around religious freedoms. And every time I see it, I kind of laugh in an ironic way, because, of course, what followed a few years later was all the push for the Religious Freedoms Act, etc. So I'd forgotten about that until coming to post-production, and then we recorded some of that audio, and I'd picked that from actual debates that were going on at the time of the Same-Sex Marriage Act, particularly between Senator Wong and Bernard, I forget his surname. Thank you, Corey Bernardi. So it was kind of, I agree. It was kind of like far out. I forgot how sinister it was.
Look, I'm going to jump to another question a little further because we've kind of covered a few things, but representation. And like we're on a film show at Joy, and we talk about the importance of seeing ourselves reflected on screen again and again, often when we're reviewing other people's work. I, like you, I'm Melbourne-born, Greek, Australian, middle-aged lesbian, who likes tennis, maybe a little bit more now that I hear there's more lesbians there. I enjoy eating pastizzo, but I prefer it homemade rather than from Leo's. Lesbian lives, though, and older lesbian lives, and this perspective of kind of lesbian relationships, we don't often see this in films. We see a lot of coming out stories. We see, I'm so grateful, a lot of younger stories and coming of age stories. And we unfortunately see a lot of lesbians dying, especially in TV. And I'm so thank you for not adding to that dead lesbian tally. I watch this film and I see my friends and I see myself. And Demetra, that doesn't happen very often for us. As a filmmaker, why do you think this is important? And why do you how did you go about addressing that in this film and in the other films or work that you do?
Well, I mean, I have a bit of a mantra, which is, and I probably apply it in sport probably more often than I do in film, but, if you see it, you can be it. And wow, what other films out there that are about middle-aged lesbians not coming out, and it's wonderful that there are coming out stories, but beyond coming out, like living our lives openly with all the layers and conflicts and having to resolve those conflicts. When do we see it? And let alone as Aussies in Melbourne, when? I don't remember the last time I've seen a film like that. And let me tell you, I think at the time we were conscious of, look, it's not a coming out film. And remember, this is 2018, so it's not a coming out film, which was rare at the time. But it was like, why not? Why not? And to harness all that fantastic energy and experience and wisdom and let's just do it, was wonderful to do that. And here it is. And here it is to share it with all of you.
Look, I want to hear from the audience. I'm going to cut a few of these questions. But before we do, I mean, I think you've kind of touched on it a little bit. But what do you think are the biggest lessons that you learned from this film?
Well, every time I see it, it's like, far out, I hadn't, didn't know what the mountain was to climb. But the lesson was just do it. Just go for it. Just trust your gut and just go for it. Trust your heart and go for it. Learning, I think steering, in terms of leading teams and leading a creative project through its ups and downs and through freaking pandemics. I hope I don't have to do that again. Please don't let me do that again. But just really being grateful for fabulous people who want to make this project happening and making sure I'm telling all the fabulous people, my gratitude to them for providing their talent and their time to make it happen.
I'm going to call out to the audience. Does anyone have a question for Demetra?
Demetra, was it autobiographical?
Oh, no, actually, no, it wasn't. But, subsequent events have meant that I've needed to remind myself of what the, I think, great story here is that these wonderful, wonderful women didn't negate their fabulous, fabulous relationship and loving relationship and still wished each other well into the future. So, how's that for an answer?
That's good. Anyone else?
Come on, some of you promised you were going to heckle me.
What's the radio show that you're on and when can I listen to it?
That's our co-producer.
Gina, do you want to answer that?
That is Outtakes, 4 p.m. every Saturday on Joy 94.9.
Sounds amazing.
Brilliant.
It isn't amazing, and thank you very much because they're very supportive. And yeah, I mean, we're really lucky because we do have. Actually, we do have. I should finish my sentence. We do have a wonderful LGBT radio station. But let me tell you, like, it's really funny because it's like full circle. Because in the car when they're driving home from the hospital and listening to the radio show, I had thought, I want to contact Joy. I had no connection with Joy at the time. I want to contact Joy. I want to see if I can get their sort of logo or their promo in the radio. And I don't know why I got all
you
shy.
ended up doing Taste of Radio, and now, like, you were nominated over the weekend at the Community Broadcasters as one of, like, what was do you remember the title of the award, Conrad? Best Presenter? Like, you know.
No,
I'm here to embarrass you all night.
Thank you to Joy for their support over the last couple of years. One with the training, and then just doing shows every so often. Fantastic support, mentoring, and all the resources at Joy is incredible. So, and being a voice. I mean, here's a voice about middle-aged lesbians from Melbourne. Slice of life. But
we
Joy's
get to
also
crack
wonderful.
on about it every Saturday.
Do.
For sure. Now we are. Oh wait, another question, please. Do you want to wait? We've got a microphone actually.
Sorry. Just wondering. I've done a few shorts and things, but just wondering what kind of budget it was, and I don't think I saw any like grant funding things up there. So I'm
She
guessing
chuckled
self-funded.
when you said that.
Yeah.
I think she was a lawyer in a past life. I think that was kind of maybe self-funded.
Yes,
Yeah.
Self-funded with co-producers and generosity of so many people involved in the project, but no grants. Thank you very much. Did I apply for grants? A couple, two or three here or there, but that didn't stop me, and it shouldn't stop you. Just find a way to make your film, come hell or high water. Budget? Well, I'm not going to talk figures, but it's an independent film. It's a micro budget, in the scheme of things.
But I think it shows that we need to invest in ourselves, because
Absolutely.
I think that is the biggest barrier to telling our stories and seeing ourselves on screen, is because there's this fictional thing of an audience some gatekeepers have, and they don't respect these audiences and the audiences that we know exist. So well done for investing in yourself.
What was the biggest lesson you learned from doing that? From doing this?
The film in general, just do it. Just do it. Let rationality out the window and just follow your heart, follow your guts, get great people together. I've said it many times, and I'll keep saying it. We're blessed for talent in this city, just this city, let alone the country in terms of acting and crew. And just do it and tell your stories, and you will find a home. You will end up in the Greek Film Festival.
There was actually a hand up at the back, towards the back. Yeah, there. Thank you.
Do you see any science fiction films in your future, Demetra?
Oh my God. I'm learning about, there's this game thing called Unreal Engine and stuff. Yes, I see science fiction films in the future, absolutely. Lesbians in space.
Why not? Sure.
Could have been done already, I'm not sure. I think there's a question down here.
There was another famous joyster we have here.
The response to the question that I haven't asked yet, which was going to be what next. But before you respond to that, I had no idea that you were doing this. We live on the same street, and I've watched you immerse yourself in Joy over the years. And here you are, with this amazing feature film. Congratulations. I think it's been fantastic to watch. But what are you going to do with the film now? What happens to the film, and what's next for you in your journey as a filmmaker and artist?
Well, in terms of Love Rewind, it really is now getting it out to the public. I mean, this is the end of the festival run, so to speak, and now it's getting out there to cinemas. So the approach is definitely be available online in a couple of months. And also there'll be select screenings in Melbourne, around Australia, and definitely internationally. It's really, look, it's the world has changed. Certainly the internet has, I think, to any filmmakers in the room, the wonderful thing about the internet is you can find your audience. You don't need the gatekeepers anymore in the way that even when I started my journey making films, you had to. And I mean, I know the word disruption is used quite a lot, but we are especially as filmmakers, you can connect directly with your audience. And there's nothing better than theatrical screenings. So somehow it's, finding the spaces where you will be able to get a good crowd together for your screenings. We also have the benefit of online, so at least your film is out there and able to be seen anytime, anywhere, on any freaking device. I don't mind. People can be watching Love Rewind on the tram on their way to work. I'd be very happy with that. So that's what's next in terms of Love Rewind. And, in terms of the next film, yes, pretty keen to shoot the next film.
Do you have a script?
Oh,
Is
yes.
it lesbians in space? Or lesbians on a tennis court? Or
there's tennis involved. Absolutely, there's always tennis involved somehow. Look, it's really interesting because I have a couple of stories that I want to tell. I have a crazy idea. Maybe I can get you all to shout out. I won't tell you the stories, but this is an idea. Again, in terms of connecting with your audience, why don't filmmakers ask their audience what they want? So if I was to put out 2 or 3 film ideas, I won't do this now, would you be interested in voting on all that and giving me your feedback about, Okay, so you could say to me, this is what we want to see next from you, Demetra.
Can I be producer and then say, can we now pass around the bucket of money to make these things?
Yeah, so... definitely there'll be a feature film within the next year. Absolutely. I can't tell you which one because I think I'm going to have to get feedback from you all about what that next one will be.
Well, I think that's a good segue to get everyone to the bar, to continue this conversation, to let the next film screen. Thank you all for coming tonight. It's a really big deal that you kind of filled in a cinema. They ended up turning on another screen next door because of your attendance. Congratulations again, Demetra. I can't wait to see where this goes and what is coming next. Any last words from you, my friend?
I just thank you so much for coming and sharing. This is such a momentous occasion for me personally, for the team, for the film, over and above everything else, and this story, to share it with you all in this fabulous cinema on this fabulous Melbourne night. So thank you so much.